There we go. Unmute, unvideo. There we go. Good morning. How is everybody? Brett, you can hear me okay?
Yes, John. Excellent. Good morning, everybody. Can everyone hear? Just a quick nod of the head for those who are online. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Robert. Excellent. So, good morning. I'm Brett Janelle with the Retired Living True series and Janelle Realty Group and Janelle Moves Made Easy. And we're here today for session number 2 of 4 sessions on Rightsizing and Decluttering 101 with our Senior Move Manager, John Pettingill. And thank you for all being here. And I'm going to just hand it over to you, John, and let you take it away.
All right, very good. Well, thank you everybody for attending. We're looking forward to, we've got a couple of people that are on the phone, so I'll do my best to incorporate you into the conversation so that although you can't see what I'm talking about, I will make those descriptions as clear as possible. So we are at decluttering session. This is number 2 of 4. So what I want to address first is a recap. If you are new to the session, last session 2 weeks ago was session 1 of 4. We're at session 2 of 4, and it'll make more sense as I go along if you're new to this process. So what I've done is I've broken down the decluttering process into 9 steps, and I've broken those 9 steps over the course of 4 weeks. So as a recap, I wanted to do a really quick review of what happened the last session. To start with, on April 7th, we did the Decluttering 1 session, and you can watch that entire 1-hour session if you go to that website, janellegroup.com/video, and that will give you an access to watch that entire session from session 1 of 4. Also, if you've registered for today, just know that you are already pre-registered for all of the successive sessions. So next Tuesday on April 28th, and then the following Tuesday on May 3rd, that will complete the series of 4. At the end of that, if you're interested, because you like the camaraderie, you like the information, we're going to go over the same 4 series, but you're going to get the interaction and being able to share your experience with a larger group of human beings. So we're staying connected. Speaking of which, I just want to say just a really quick, brief awareness and consciousness of how we're all dealing with being sequestered and being in our own spaces and having to deal with life in our current circumstances, and just wish everybody the very best and be safe. And we will, this too shall pass, as my mother tells me. So with that, going forward, in recap very quickly, the 3 things that we talked about last time was categorizing the things that we want to deal with in our lives regarding clutter as your elephant, that being that big elephant in the room, and the frog being that thing that is very distasteful, but if you try it, the ugly things can be things that you can learn to love. So we kind of talked about that briefly last session in identifying those, and then creating a way for you to think about those bigger things and ugly things that you have to deal with regarding clutter and turn them into what we call SMART goals. I'll talk about that in just a brief second. So we did that, and then we talked about the obstacles. So thinking about the fact that you are having to deal with something you haven't dealt with for some period of time, whether it be several weeks, several months, several years, you're dealing with things, and those present obstacles, whether they're the emotional type of nature, just that they're things that you just emotionally have trouble dealing with because they have old memories, you don't want to get rid of things, you're having to deal with getting rid of things you don't want to. Those can be very more tangled things to have to deal with, but those are obstacles to be aware of. And then there's just the physical quantity of stuff that you have. So I think last time we had a gentleman who's saying, I've got a garage, it's stacked floor to ceiling with boxes of stuff that I've accumulated. How do I deal with that? So the idea is we identified what are the obstacles getting in your way. And so last week we went over just the 2 first steps of the 9-step process, identifying what your elephants and frogs are, and evaluating the space in terms of, are you going to use this space the way you want to use it, or how do you use it? So change the theme of how do you want to use the space. So in the idea of changing, this used to be my home gym, but I'm not working out the way I used to. I'm going to another gym. So now I'm just going to turn this into my craft room, whatever. So thinking about how you're going to evaluate the space. All right. And then I've got to move this off screen. There we go. All right. Your goal, so our goal, just to quickly reiterate, I have a lofty goal. It's kind of grandiose, but my goal in helping you is to increase the quality of your life by helping you connect with how you think and feel and behave about the things in your life, making different choices about the stuff in your life. And that just comes down to awareness, and that's part of this process, is understanding this process. All right. If you go to that website, I just wanted to point this. So if you go to the janellegroup.com/video website, what you'll see is the last session on April 7th. If you click on that, you can watch the video. So I just wanted to let you put, a picture is worth 1,000 words, they say. So this is what the web page looks like. All right, moving on. So really quick review of SMART goals. SMART goals mean a specific, measurable, ambitious, realistic, and timely goal. So as you think about the elephant in the room that you have to deal with, what does it look like? How can you define a goal that has meaning? It isn't just something like example 1, declutter my house by tomorrow. That's not specific. It's barely measurable. It's ambitious, but is it realistic? No, not even close. And tomorrow, really, you have a time limit, but that's not going to do the job. So when you think about creating a goal in terms of, I'm going to tackle my laundry room, how can you define that in ways that are specific, measurable, ambitious, realistic, and timely? So for example 2, I will declutter my home office by spending 30 to 45 minutes a day, each day of the week, until the task is completed, and then I can truly enjoy my reward. So you can see how I can maneuver that information and tick those boxes, because if you have those 5 parts of a good goal, you're much more likely to accomplish it and not have to deal with lots of obstacles in your way, because it's specific, it's measurable, you've made it ambitious and realistic, and you put a time limit on it. So we talked about that. All right, so starting from 1 to 9, the 9 steps that are part of this series are as follows. I'll review them. Last session, we talked about deciding what you'll declutter and evaluating the space, what is the clutter in that space. And today we're going to cover steps 3 and 4 in clearing your working space and laying out your kit. There's actually a very nice kit I'll describe here in this hour on how you can really maximize the efficiency of being a clutter ninja or a decluttering ninja. I haven't figured out which sounds best. Maybe you can, we'll ask a poll question about that maybe. You like a decluttering ninja or a clutter ninja? Anyway, so then you move on. We'll talk about understanding how you will tackle the area in step 5, and step 6 is much more lengthy in the actual declutter process, things to think about. And so we'll go over that in the next session, 5 and 6. And then the last session, session 4, we'll cover the last 3 steps. Step 7, too much to keep in the pile. So we'll talk about refining the search or refining the space. Everything away is how are you going to deal with putting the stuff away. And then obviously the best part is doing the happy dance, the relaxed, reward yourself because you did a job well done. All right, so challenge assignment from last week. So I haven't been able to look at everybody whose face is here, but last time we asked a clarifying question for an assignment. Sorry, from last time is to think about the process, and if you had created a SMART goal, which is part of the in-session activity, if you created a SMART goal, to clarify it. Is there something that happened during the last 2 weeks that made you think about that goal and have to tweak it and adjust it? So I'd like to, I'm going to ask anybody who's interested, and Brett, you can help me here, is anybody who's interested in raising your hand and telling us any clarifications you made to your SMART goal. Is anybody available there?
So for those who are on the phone, you can press *9, and that will let John know you've raised your hand. Or if you're on your computer or a smart device, down the bottom of your screen, if you just tap on it, it should pop up a little area that has raise hand. and then John can call upon those people who have raised their hand.
All right. So I haven't been able to check the list of who I'm seeing on the screen and who came last time. I knew we had about a third of you in returning who had registered. Regardless, I'm going to move on. So what we had people do is just to think about, okay, was that a realistic SMART goal? How was it? If that worked, great. If it didn't, what changed? And then upon reflection, we have Hardenbrook, we have Ruth, awesome. So let's see what Ruth would like to say about her experience. Ruth, I have you on the line. Thank you so much. Ruth, go ahead.
I think you have me.
Oh, Robert.
Robert.
Yeah, it's switched flow. Sorry, Robert. Thank you so much, Robert. Go ahead.
Okay. I had a couple of things. Because I guess of the 2 weeks, I lost sight of my goals.
Okay.
But I did a little bit each day, or almost every day, on several of my projects, not my main one. So I think I did okay during that time. The other thing that I ran up against was because of the virus, are we able to use selling methods such as Craigslist and that sort of thing? How do we do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first of all, thanks for chiming in. It's always good to have more than one voice on these. With respect to how you're going to deal with the coronavirus and dealing with that, all I can say is putting it up there does not have any interaction, within 6 feet of another human being, and I would suspect that it's constantly going on as people, because I have an estate sale agent who does this for a living, and so what they're experiencing is just when it comes time for that handoff, that delivery, what precautions are you and your buyer going through to ensure proper safe distancing and disinfecting and whatever you're comfortable with you made between you and the buyer that you're dealing with that. I think that would be important. So hopefully that helps. On the other side of that, you had mentioned that you had lost sight of the goal and you worked on it. So it sounds like you were doing a good kind of daily grind of establishing a routine in dealing with these things. All I would ask is for you, because we all know how our minds get as we get a little bit grayer in life, is it's not always as sharp as it used to be. So that comes down to what were you using to help remind you of those things that are the cream that you want to rise to the top of your consciousness? What are the things that you want to deal with that are important to you? So having a priority list. So there's a bazillion ways to create a priority list. Just having, a note on the fridge can work for some people, but just reminding yourself in many different ways on what your goal was. So if that SMART goal can be condensed down to just a few words to remind you of the importance and the interest that you have in accomplishing that goal, that makes the reward that much more vital at the end of the game. So for instance, you have I think you were talking about the garage and lots of boxes having to deal with that. Is that right, Robert?
Yes.
Yeah, so just having maybe on your fridge, garage, just one word. I don't know how it works for you, but just, again, thinking of, okay, that is an important thing. I know that if I can I'm going to take 5 minutes. I'm just going to go out there for 5 minutes. In 5 minutes turns into 10, turns into 15. And before you know it, it's like, you know what? I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. I've done good enough for the day. Just some way to light the match in terms of that idea that you had at a SMART goal that you want to accomplish, because you keep that up, that repetition, that routine will kick in and you'll start making greater strides, and then it'll become something that you will hopefully have set a good reward towards, and at the end of the day you'll be able to give yourself a good reward. That helped. Was that good, George? Or I mean, Robert?
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, it did. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that in the beginning, the goals were there and I knew what I wanted to do. And when I got out there to work, I found that I had a few little projects that I had been working on that I still needed to finish. And I wasn't, so I just told myself, this is part of the process. I've got to finish these little projects, and that will be in addition to my, or help me clean my garage. And that's true, it did. I did work on those projects and got them done, and then I got started on out on the patio doing some other stuff. But that was on my list too, so I feel like I made some progress.
You know, that's a great point you bring up, George. It is exactly what I had talked about in terms of setting your SMART goal and like I have here, clarifying and adjusting your SMART goal. That's exactly what you did. It was perfect because you realize the garage is a really big elephant, and I've got these other smaller projects that will make me more efficient because I've got other things to deal with besides just what's in my garage. Yeah, that's the big thing, but realizing there's 3 or 4 or 5 other little projects, I take care of those. They're part of the bigger scheme because you've thought it through. You've created a connection to a larger goal. Dude, you're poster child for decluttering. You are a clutter ninja. All right.
Thanks.
Very good. So thank you very much, Robert. Did you have anything else you wanted to add real quick?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to mute you, and we'll go to Ruth. Thank you so much for being patient, Ruth. And unmute, and we have you live. There we go.
Can you hear me, John?
We hear you now. Yes. Thank
and
you.
Everybody else? Okay. Yes, my goal was, I'm working on the office, which I share with my husband, and so that's a challenge because he tends to not be interested in decluttering most of the time. Which I've heard other women say about their spouses. But anyway, I decided to organize and take everything out of these cupboards on the left side above the counter, and the shelves underneath the cupboard. They're immediately to the right of me now, because in years past I've just put things into the cupboards, and which didn't really belong there, like files and that sort of thing, that they should be in a cabinet. So I was able to accomplish that. I organized the cupboard and took out things that were not supposed to be there, and the same with underneath the cupboard. So now it's easier to find things there. But I find when I do get in the decluttering mode, then I don't want to stop after 45 minutes to an hour. I just want to keep working for 2 to 3 hours and accomplish, the cleanup or the organization in one area. So maybe I should put a timer on, I don't know, but it tends to make me not go out for a walk or, not do other things I should be doing. We have a young dog too who has to be walked, and my husband is doing it most of the time, but I should be going out. So those are the obstacles. Also, this last weekend or weekend before was Easter weekend, so I was going to services or online services, and so that I didn't feel like doing decluttering. So, but that's not the case in most weekends. So,
Excellent.
Those obstacles that I had, but I've come through it. I mean, it really is a good feeling to look into a cupboard and find it neat.
Yeah, exactly.
Things that were in other places are put together in one place.
And that's
one of my
beautiful.
challenges.
That concept of, and we'll talk about this in today's discussion, but I want to just celebrate the reality of you making some connections that I saw with respect to, you had your space and you made it clear that you had a set of goals, and you realized that your intensity to deal with the problem drove you to go a little further than maybe you originally had thought, I think that's beautiful. That means that you're just kind of embracing the moment and allowing that experience to just wash over you and to be in the moment. That's great. My only cautionary tale to that is the word should. I heard you use the word should, and that can be a dangerous word in terms of I should do this, I should do that. In terms of the clarifying, as long as there's no negative impact, that you don't take any negative feelings away from the experience of, I'm going to go spend some time in my office and make it beautiful. If you have a joyous feeling coming away from it as much as you had going into it, then you're kind of in the right headspace. I only just caution because you're not pressured by time. You don't have to get this done because you're moving. So if there's no exterior things that are causing you tension, just be conscious of feeling like you have to get it done. If that drives you, great. That's part of your personality, but just be aware of that. That's my only thing. But you're doing great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, actually, I feel more joyous when I'm finished than when I start, because I end up putting things on the desk and they're all over the place in little piles, and then I don't want to leave it that way. So
right, yeah.
So I need to finish, and then I feel a lot better about it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's exactly, you are becoming a clutter ninja. Cool.
Clutter ninja. Okay, hooray.
All right. Thank you, Ruth. We're going to hang up
welcome.
And then I'm just going to get on with the show. And at
Okay.
the end, if anybody has questions at the end, we'll talk about anything comes up in the discussion.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. All right. So we were just talking, and we've got enough information from that. So we asked about what worked, what didn't. And so we heard from Robert and from Ruth. Thank you for sharing. What worked, what didn't, what got in the way that you didn't anticipate, what are any kind of epiphanies, aha moments. And so we're doing real well. So step 3 in our decluttering acronym, as you can see here, is clearing your workspace. So this is going to make perfect sense, but I don't know what you know, so I'm just kind of stripping things down to building it from a really solid foundation of some common sense kinds of things. And common sense sometimes isn't that common. So when you declutter, you know that you're going to make a mess. And for some people, that's easy to accept, and for other people, it's not. So just knowing you're going to have to get stuff out and put things and make a clutter a mess. That's just a fact, and just recognize that. Gotta make my advance click. So along those lines, it will get worse before it gets better. So I'm sure that when Ruth was pulling all the stuff out and putting it in piles, it's like, yeah, it's going to get messier, and then it got really good. So just be aware of that, just making that conscious awareness. The whole concept behind clearing the space is to give you room to breathe and to make decisions. And I'll show you some slides to give you an idea of that. The concept of using a clear space, obviously it depends. Obviously, Robert has a garage full of stuff. He's going to need his entire front yard to clear a space. Well, fine, use the front yard. If the weather's great and you're not in an issue, you can put out tables, you can put out blankets, things to separate things into different categories. Again, along those lines of having a place to lay things out and make conscious decisions about what goes where and why. Why is the most important question most of the times. So just think of that when you're starting any decluttering project. Is a table enough? Do I need the patio? So what is the space that I need to clear away? All right. So in releasing your inner clutter ninja, if you look at this image, you can see, for some of you, it's like, yeah, this is great. This doesn't look like clutter to me. But for some people, it's like, you know what? There's stuff that doesn't need to be there, and there's stuff that just could be put away and make it much nicer. So what I need to do is decide what is the amount of space that is a cleared space. So an open table, some floor space, that's about all I need for this kind of clutter. Step 4 is to lay out your decluttering kit. what is in a decluttering kit? Well, there's three things, basically. Sorting category labels. It's basically a piece of paper with a word on it. You're going to need a few assorting containers on places to put things. That will be useful. I'll talk about that in a sec. And then obviously a step ladder. So you want to have some real basic ingredients in order to do a decluttering job well. So sorting categories, this is a set of cards or concepts that I'll show you how you can create something that will be useful, not just for this decluttering job, but for any decluttering job. And the more categories you can come up with that make sense to you, the better it's going to make your experience, the more efficient you're going to be with your decluttering projects. When you get the decluttering bug and you see how effective this process is, you might become a true declutter ninja and just go out looking for things to declutter, because it really is rewarding. So a category is just that. It's a category of things. So if you're going through all the stuff, is it stuff that I want to keep? That could also have subcategories. Is it something that I want to keep that I frequently use? Is it something I want to keep that I don't use very often, but I don't want to get rid of it? Does it need to be in this space, or can it go into storage? Is it something that's out of season? It just needs to go with my winter gear. Is it something to be mended, recycled, shredded, filed, trashed, given to charity, given away, thrown in the circular file, sold? I mean, you can see just whatever expanse, whatever category works for your space, be thinking of how you can use those categories to help you efficiently manage a whole space. So thinking about Robert's garage, you'll have to kind of think critically about, what's in your space. What are some clear categories that you want to know? The beautiful thing about the categories is you can make them up as you go. You don't have to sit down and spend an hour thinking of all categories and then printing out cards. And then, no, you just grab some paper and a marker and you just go out and think, all right, what are some categories? Things that I need to file, things that are going to go in the trash. You just start making a category list and you create it on the fly. Also thinking about categories on the fly. So categories, we're talking about subcategories. This is where you can, as you're doing the decluttering process, and Robert has all this stuff out in his lawn and he's thinking, you know what, there's some old tools and there's some tools that I want to get rid of. So he might look at and combine categories. So thinking about, you know what, those things can all just be recategorized as donations. So as you go through the process, be flexible to the concept that you're a human. You get to change your mind at a moment's notice. So make that part of the process, and don't feel like, oh, I made this category, I'm stuck with it. No, it's your category. Change it as you need. All right, categories. So what you can make it look like. Yeah, I can make it move over there. Just a quick question, Brett. Yes,
John.
Yeah, I think I moved something and I just want to see if everybody is seeing the correct screen.
I'm seeing the category cards.
Oh, good. All right. So I just I moved something and I wasn't sure. Thank you for clarifying that. So category cards look just like this in a fancy design. If you wanted to use them in that way, you just use the cards in exactly that way. You can even, what's really nice is if you print these out and there are things that you will continually use, you can start creating your particular sets of category cards. And so if you go into any space, you can go to your friend's house, hey, let's go declutter your closet. Great, I got these category cards. So you can create your own special niche of categories that work for you. You can bind them up. And then when you go to a category or you go in to do a decluttering job, it's like, okay, here's all my category cards. Which ones make sense for this space, for what I'm trying to accomplish? And if you need to make some more, and again, this is way over the top. So if some of you are the type A, got to have it at this level, great, have at it. All you need is a piece of paper with a marker and just write file, trash, give away, whatever works for you. This is just above and beyond. So what's nice about that is once you have them, you can start spacing things out and saying, okay, I'm going to put all my keep stuff here and all my different room stuff here, and the recycling stuff goes over there. So you can see how you can quickly put that out. All right. Wow, that was quick. So we've gotten to the, so looking at the last two categories is how you can create a category list that's going to be useful for you. As we move forward in the next step, so if you've just joined and you realize, okay, I get the concept of creating, what is my elephant and my frog, what's my SMART goal that makes sense, what are the obstacles I need to be aware of, now you can start attacking it from the standpoint of, now I can categorize things and start looking at them. So if you're looking at, if you wanted a homework assignment or something to hold you to account, what I'd like to do next time, if you return and would like to help us understand how you're doing, is take a look at those aspects in steps 3 and 4 that I just discussed and see if you can apply them to your next decluttering project if you've completed one, or if you want to start incorporating them into your next one, or if you would just want to make it part of a SMART goal. So again, looking at incorporating those two steps, steps 3 and 4 into that. Reflect on your experience, write a few sentences about what your progress looks like, include how you problem solve for any unforeseen issues, and group them so that the group could learn from them. And then write about what you've learned or shared what you would do differently the next time. Obviously what I'm trying to encourage you to do is to be reflective about the process. I would have to say that when it comes to the amount of, what's the best word for this? The most bang for your buck, the best return on investment in terms of planning and creating the time and the space to do a good project like this, the time that you spend reflecting really is a 10-to-1 return on your investment in my estimation, in my opinion, because it's that time after you've spent the energy and resources mentally to think about the process, to create a plan, to execute the plan, but it's upon the reflection that really kind of cements in your mind's in your mind's eye, in the way that you process the information, that will really cement home how to do the process. It'll give you confidence in any hurdles that you might come across, and it might push you to have to deal with some things that are just those back corners, those frogs that you just haven't dealt with in 30 years because you didn't want to deal with them. So I just ask you to think about the incorporating the reflection part that I have here. What I'm willing to do is we have a few people here that are listed. What I can do is take this challenge assignment and send an email just to remind you things to think about for the next week. And I can send that out later today after we get off the phone here. All right.
Actually, John, if I can jump in, I just took the slide for you and put it into a PDF.
Perfect.
And I've just shared it online with everybody. So if you're able to go into chat, so somewhere on your screen, for those who are actually online, you'll have a chat button. And in there, there'll be a link to the PDF that just has what was on the screen. Actually, can I just ask, if you're able to find it, could you just click on the raise your hand so we know if people are successfully finding that in chat, or just type something into the chat window? So if you're on a mobile device or even on a computer, if you just tap on the slide somewhere, there'll be a pop-up of controls, and one of the controls is chat. And then in the chat window, you'll see there's a PDF for those who are able to download it. So, okay, thank you, Ruth. I see you were able to find it. Excellent. So just play around. We'll keep the session open when John finishes, but you're looking for chat for those who are online. For those who are dialed in via the phone, we'll email it out to everyone. And if you can't find it, we'll email it out to everyone anyway. I think John said he'd do that later today for you. Very
good. So I'm not sure if I pulled that up, so I raised my hand, I think, or I pulled that document up. Do you see it on the page, Brett?
You don't have it shared, John. You're sharing your PowerPoint. You would need to share that your PDF. There you go.
There it is. All right, so that's what it looks like. So thank you, Brett. That was a quick, obviously I had that thought. He solved the problem during the presentation. So here's the challenge for the week. Incorporate steps 3 and 4, and they're down there. Steps 3, clear your working space. Did you do something differently to clear your working space? And then lay out your kit. So how did you experience that? So did you create your own category cards? What worked, what didn't? So just looking for some general feedback on those in those notes. And there we go. All right, so moving to the Q&A, just make sure that's shared. So if anybody, so we're really good on pacing and timing. So if anybody would like to ask any questions, to give feedback, open up the discussion if you have questions. Ruth, you have your hand raised, so let's hear from you real quickly.
I just would like to know how to print that. How to print this challenge assignment? Do I just click on download and then I have to save it somewhere? Or?
Yes, that's a general format. Whenever you have that, if you click on it, it should pop open a browser window or a window of some kind that has that document. And then usually if you hover over a printer icon or file print, if you use the drop down, that will give you a way to print it to whatever printer is hooked up to your network at home.
Okay, so I've clicked on it and then just click on save as and just no, I mean I could change the file name or just click on.
It might even
click
have
on save and it'll have that name there somewhere.
It might even under file just have file, and then if you scroll down and look under file, it might have a print option. Usually that might, yeah. I'd say usually, but that is an option.
Yeah. I think you have to save it and then find it in the
again, not knowing
documents.
It could be set up that way. I just wanted to mention that as a possibility.
I just want to see if it's saved in my list. It's called R&D 101.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought I clicked on save, but I'll do it again. Save.
Okay.
Oh, okay. It says you don't have permission to save in this location. Contact the administrator to obtain permission. Oh, I'll say, it says, would you like to save in the folder instead that I named? I'll put yes.
All right.
I can find it. Okay.
Good.
I saved it and then
yeah, keep going with
that.
that.
My name.
Does anybody else have any other questions, any comments you'd like to share with the process moving forward? Ruth, you're still on the line. Did you get that to work?
Sorry, John, I just muted Ruth.
Oh, good. No, it's fine. Good. So you can call me Ruth. I know you can hear me. That's great. If you have an issue, just ring me up and we'll get that squared away for you. All right.
So again, on your screen, if you want to raise your hand, if you tap on your screen or click if you're on a computer, you should have a raise hand, and that'll notify us that you have a question or a comment or feedback. And again, if you're on a phone, pressing *9 on your phone will allow you also to raise your hand, and then we can unmute you. You must have covered everything perfectly, John, because I don't see any raised hands.
Yeah, that could be a little disconcerting for the one on this end of the camera. All right, nobody has any questions. I don't know if I did well.
Actually, just as a test, could we just have everybody just raise their hand, just so we can get an idea if people have found where to go and raise their hand? And we won't call on you, but just so we can see.
Yeah.
See 1, 2, 3.
Right.
Okay.
So it's not, that's awesome.
Excellent. Good. So it's not just you and I talking to each other, John. We have people here that can hear us.
Actually paying attention and listening.
Let's see if we can get a few more raised hands. Good experiment to see, and we can lower everyone's hand at the appropriate time.
Where do you find the hand raising device here?
Oh, that sounds like Joe.
Oh, that's Joe Parks.
Yes.
He unmuted himself. That's awesome.
So Joe, what are you using? What device are you on?
We're on a laptop.
On a laptop. So if you just kind of click somewhere on the video or the screen, John's screen, it should pop up down the bottom.
You can see us there.
Yeah, and then you have raise hand.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Share
I've got
screen.
participants, chat, share screen, record, and reactions. Maybe you see
It's
reactions.
under,
No raise hand there. That's surprising.
it's under participants.
Somewhere.
Under participants, perhaps?
Yes, open the
Yes.
participants.
I'll open participants.
Yeah, just by clicking on it. Does that then give you the option of raise hand?
Now, where's the raised hand?
Well, I don't know, we're in the microphone.
Oh,
Oh,
there they
here,
are.
raise hand, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Right.
Right.
So,
Ruth
So
and
you-
Dale have raised their hands.
I see
Okay.
your hand up, Joe. Yeah, just so for everyone else's benefit, because Zoom's on so many different platforms, the interfaces are kind of different, whether you're on your phone, a tablet, a computer, and whether it's a PC or a Mac, the screens are kind of laid out a little differently on each device. So you have to kind of just look around.
so
What?
I'm assuming that you can see that I've got overlaid my participants. There's 20 and we've got hands raised. So this is on the PC, on the application that is on a home computer, not the same as what would be on an iPad or an iPhone. But this is how you would open up the participants by clicking on participants, which is the pop-up menu. If I remember correctly, you can't actually see my menu, but it's there. And then you open participants, and then it'll open up everybody who is attending, and you can hover over your name, and it gives you the ability to raise hand. Did I explain that pretty well, Joe?
Yes.
All right.
One of the things that I think might help others, a black border about 1.5 inches wide came on the left-hand side of the screen so that it blocked part of your charts and present lists. And I found out you could just move it around anywhere you wanted, and we put it down at the bottom of the screen.
Right, that's the pop-up menu, and there's actually, just for more information, there's more controls where you have options under the more that you have to disable participant notifications. You can hide the floating meeting controls, which are those controls that I'm speaking of. So
Right.
So you have options available to you, but that's kind of, if you noticed during the presentation, I was kind of pausing because I had my participant menu covering up my title, so I had to keep moving it until I realized, oh yeah, I can move it wherever I want. So exactly, thank you, Joe.
You bet.
All right, we got a bunch of people's hands raised, so we've got another 15 minutes to go. So what I'd like to do, just since we got a quick second, is I'm just going to scroll back up and
Before you do that, John, I'm just going to lower the hands because it's part of that exercise.
right.
And then if someone does have a question or a comment, yeah, please just raise your hand again.
Excellent. So just going back over what we did, so you have the ability to go back to watch the video from last session. That's on that link right there. If you registered today, you're automatically registered for the next 3 sessions, so you don't have to go back in. But if you like this exchange and you'd like to see this again and just hear what other people have to say, please register for the next series, which will begin on May 12th. That'll be session 1, part 2. Anyway, so I just want to review that. We went over the elephants, the SMART goals, and the obstacles. We looked at the reality that you've got 9 decluttering events that we're going to cover, and we've covered the first 4. Next time we'll be doing understanding how to tackle the area and come up with a very distinct plan of attack in how you look at the space that you're trying to declutter. So there's a good schema for that. And then the bulk of the information next time is going to be on the decision-making tree and good questions to be asking yourself as you move through clutter and deal with stuff. All right. With that, I'm going to just open up one last time for a series of questions, comments, feedback. Love to hear from you. And we'll go from there.
Hello, John.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I guess I just unmuted myself. I didn't have to raise my hand, right? Anyway, that was closer. But what is the second series about? It's a continuation of decluttering theory and practicality.
So our first session was 2 weeks ago on the 7th.
Right.
And this is session 2. Then next Tuesday will be session 3, April 28th. Then May 3rd is session 4. And then I'm going to start over on May 12th is going to be session 1 again. So I'm going to cover the same content in the same format. So it's going to be a repeat of basically the same content with new players. So as we get more people that are interested in this content, I'm just going to be redoing. It's like going to the same English 101 class multiple times. You're going to get information out of it. You might learn something new because even though I'm covering the same information, you'll be hearing it from other people and getting the experience of hearing how other people are dealing with stuff.
Okay, there'll be participants information. There'll be people will be giving their experiences.
That's the hope. That's the goal. Absolutely.
Oh.
And then in the meantime, one of the things that we'll do is if you have any particular questions, we can, let me think how I can do this very quickly. Oh, here. Do you see my notepad?
Yes.
John@janellegroup.com. So if you have questions, comments, 432, there is the information that you need to know. You can send me comments, feedback, things that you would like me to discuss that I didn't cover. You're too shy to raise your hand, didn't want to talk. Whatever it happens to be, we're here to help you deal with decluttering and answer those questions. Oh, it looks like Lois raised her hand. Lois, talk to me. Wait, where'd she go? Oh, wait, where'd she go? Lois, there we go.
Okay.
Yeah, now we got you. It just took
I just want to verify the date of the May. I have a couple of different dates I'd written down. When is the May 3rd or 4th or 5th one?
So I'm typing on
May 5, Lois.
Yeah.
May 5th. It's always on a Tuesday at 10 a.m.
That's what I thought. Okay. Yeah, because I think you gave a different date one of the times. So I wanted
John was seeing if you were paying attention, so good catch.
Okay, thank you.
So there this on the screen that I just posted. So this is going to be session number 3, and then the last session in this series, session number 4, is going to be on May 5th, and then we'll start the series over again. Session number 1 will start on May 12th, and then the following Tuesdays, unless we need to interrupt.
And if you're already registered for today, and obviously you are because you're on the call, then it's the exact same link for next week on the 28th and then again on May 5th. And then it will change for May 12th. You'll need to register again for May 12th if you want to repeat the series.
And if I'm not correct me if I'm wrong, Brett, because you've registered, you'll get a reminder notification a day before and an hour before, something like that? For
not for a meeting. This is a meeting.
Oh, okay.
I think we're going to change to a webinar so people get reminders.
Okay.
I'm curious, did anyone get a meeting reminder this morning or yesterday for this session? If you did, could you just raise your hand so we know?
Yeah, that would be useful.
I'm just going to unmute everybody. Oh, there's one. So Marsha's
Thank you.
saying she did get a reminder. So one person got a reminder. How about we just unmute everybody, John, and people can just... So I've just unmuted everybody. If you did get a reminder, can you just say yes?
Yes.
I had to.
So just a simple
I called
yes.
Alexa.
This is Maria Rodriguez, and I did not get a reminder.
Okay,
I did
so
not
maybe
either.
some did.
I called Lexus this morning and she resent the link.
Yeah, so starting May 12th, we're going to swap to a different format like we do our main seminars. I think John and I will talk about it more, and then we can definitely set that up so you get an automatic reminder a day before and an hour before. So
Brett,
thank
this
you.
is Mike Colson. I did not get a reminder either.
Yeah, so I don't think Zoom Meetings sends out a reminder. When you
Nor
sign
I.
up, you get a confirmation and the ability to put it on your calendar, and then it's up to you to remember.
They
Yeah.
probably have
Webinars.
way too many people because
Well,
everybody's
Send you
using
a
Zoom.
reminder both the day before and an hour before.
Yeah.
So I've just muted everyone again, John, so you can keep talking. Oh, including you.
I can
There you
unmute.
go, John. You're back.
There we go. All right. Yeah, very good. So good session. Thank you everybody for participating. And if things come up, don't hesitate to reach out to me for questions, comments, feedback. Be happy to help. And we will get things rolling for the next session. We'll be looking at the next two categories in the decluttering guide. And happy decluttering. Become that ninja. You guys are doing well if you're following along. Hopefully, no news is good news, I suppose.
So John, would you be good if I just unmute everybody in case anyone was struggling with the ability to put up their hands if they do have questions?
Of course.
Anyone who hasn't spoken yet who would like to?
I love how thorough you are. Absolutely. Yes.
If no one has anything, that's fine, but let me just do that quickly.
All right.
So
Open.
everyone's unmuted.
questions.
Is there anyone who hadn't had a chance to speak who would like to?
Well, I can tell you, this is Joe, I can tell you that Lois has started quite a project of straightening out all our bookshelves that got mixed and matched after the move.
Right.
Not that John put them all in the wrong place. It's that they're kind of all over the place.
And sure enough, Lois made a list of categories for that the books should go into. And much to my surprise, it had about 12 or 13 categories in it instead of the 3 or 4 I thought might pertain. But it's an outstanding project, I think, and I look forward to having it completed.
And I spent 15 minutes on it yesterday.
Oh,
Then I got confused and said I need to do something different.
Perfect, Lois. That's a great use of exactly that concept of letting categories kind of build and just adapt until it fits with what you need. And that's a great example, because having moved all of your books, Joe, I can completely understand with the complexity of your categories.
The other thing that really led to this, I think, in a way, at least it did for me, was that I started on the income tax this year, starting with charitable contributions of household items. And I came to the last one, and son of a gun, we can't find our list of donations to the Salvation Army.
And it's the biggest one, maybe.
So I started going through the boxes I've been ignoring
Right.
for 4 months.
Yeah, we've been here exactly 4 months now.
It's amazing.
So, and this is a place like, it's very much like being in a 40-foot sailboat. You can't have anything out of place or it's just going to trip you up.
And as you well know, John, Joe had lots and lots of papers all over the place. You filled every file drawer you could find, every bookshelf you could find. He needs to go through those.
Right.
That's right.
So yeah, you guys are a perfect example of just the process and, letting the elephant be the size that you're comfortable with and just biting off what you can deal with one little bit at a time. And yeah, so enjoy the cruise on the HMS Ravel.
clutter.
Right.
Good. Looks like Ruth raised her hand one more time.
Yes, just when Lois was mentioning books, and Joe, I think his name is, I was just looking at all my my paper-bound books mostly, and a few hardbounds in my bookshelves. And I was thinking, most of them are references, and I'm going to have a hard time deciding which ones to keep, because I know your decluttering lady in the seminars always says, if you don't use it, get rid of it. But then you might use it once in a while. So that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, and that's important. That's an important concept. And one of the things that can help making those decision trees is to sit down in advance and create some really concrete categories that you want to uphold as your values. And then you go through them and say, okay, I've got these 3 categories. Gonna keep, might want to keep, and got to get rid of. And you go through them all and you just analyze. So and even though you've made the decision, you don't have to get rid of everything right away. You can sit on it for a little while and just see if that feels right. So think of it as part of the process of making the decision. Sometimes with difficult decisions, you don't have to make it knee-jerk right away and get rid of stuff unless you have to because of your living situation. You have the time, let that open up and breathe a little bit. Make the decisions, make your categories. Here's what I value and I'm going to deal with. Categorize them. And then if you have the space and the ability, just let those categories sit for a while. And you might find over the course of a week or a month or 6 months that, you know what, I was right on all these things that I thought I was going to use in the last 6 months. And that's where a SMART goal comes in mind. Is you might want to say, my SMART goal, the time factor is in 6 months, after I go through all my books, in 6 months, I'm going to reevaluate my books and decide if I haven't touched it, going to get rid of it, because you've made that commitment to that value that you have for clearing up the things in your life. So I hope that was helpful.
So 6 months is a good time frame if you don't use it within 6 months.
It's
Well,
it's totally subjective.
Yeah, I know, because sometimes I don't pick up a book for several years. All of a sudden, then I'll go back to it. But I think that's too great of a time to have to keep something. You
Right.
can get almost any information on the internet now, and a lot of what I have are reference books.
That's right. That's right.
One
All
of
right.
the- one
Go
of the
ahead, Joe.
things- One of the things that I'm getting from your sessions, John, too, is that in the past, the whole idea of decluttering and straighten up was full of shoulds. And
Yeah.
the way you're approaching it is, if there's a barrier, it's presenting you with the opportunity to get rid of it, because it's your own job. There's no shoulds. There's nothing coming from outside. It's all up to you to straighten it out the way you want it.
That's a beautiful way to put that, Joe. That's exactly right. I love hearing that. Hey, Joe, really quickly, just to make you aware, if you would take your a cloth and wipe your video camera, it's got a smudge on it. And I see Lois's beautiful face, but you just look like a smudge.
Yeah,
it kind of is, yeah.
Okay.
I noticed that too. I don't know what made it dirty, but
Well, did you wash your face today?
All right. Thank you so much, Parks and the Becks and Harnagle and Kate, Alvin and Janet and Linda and Ruth and the phone number. Thank you so much. You have the information. If you do have questions, 775-432-6398. You have that number. We look forward to seeing you next week. Brett, thank you for hosting this, and I'll see you in 7 days.
Thank you.
So long.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.